going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, and is today gonna be Thomas Frank Day? Is today gonna be the day?
Every day is Thomas Frank Day.
That's also very true. That is very true. Every day is Thomas Frank Day, but is today gonna be the day of the announcement? What do you reckon?
As the hours tick by, obviously it gets less and less likely, but it wasn't around, what, 5 o'clock we heard about Ange?
Yeah, it was between 5 and 6 o'clock, wasn't it? Everyone was saying 6 o'clock announcement.
Yeah.
And, I think it was just before that.
So we can't completely rule anything out. I got a feeling there's still some things to iron out with coaches and stuff, so maybe it'll be another day. Maybe one more day from what I think. But it could be. It could very well be. The thing is, if they're still ironing out coaches and all that kind of stuff, has he come into Tottenham and done all his media stuff and had his interviews and all that kind of stuff? Then again, that can be done fairly quickly. So maybe he's already at Tottenham doing it while they iron out all these things. I don't really know. But I would predict probably not today.
Yeah, I mean, if it was at yesterday, I think everyone was predicting that it would be today. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
But then again, Friday at this time, we were like going mad about when are we going to hear anything? What's going on with this football club? Do we have a manager? Do we not have a manager? And then a few hours later, everything was cleared up. So
yeah, at least now is a bit more calmer. We actually know who our manager's going to be next season. I think the majority of us are happy with the choice. But look, we've got a bit to get through today. We're going to start off with the Tottenham update, and then we're going to look at different variations of Frank ball and seeing how Spurs might look under Frank next season. But let's start off with the Tottenham update, and we're going to start off talking about two Brentford players, funnily enough. And first one is Yarmolyuk. Court of Side is saying that Tottenham are one of several clubs keen on Yarmolyuk, a central midfielder. He can play a variation of roles in the middle of the park, a 6, 10, 8. And he's a player as well that I was watching some Frank videos, and in one of the videos he was doing a team talk after the game, and he was like, I think it was the one where he said 100 appearances for Norgard. I'm sure you've seen it. I think everyone's seen it.
What a player, he said.
Yeah, and he goes, by the end of it, he points to Yarmolyuk and he goes, and everyone, Yarmolyuk, just tell me, what a player. And everyone just like goes up and scrunches his hair and everything, which was a nice moment. But yeah, is he a player you'd like to see at Spurs?
Don't think so. Look, I think he's done great for Brentford, and from what I've seen of him, he looks like a good player, or like a competent player who's done a fine job for Brentford. He's young, he's 21. So maybe they're looking at thinking if we put him in an environment like Tottenham, he could really fly. But I don't think I've seen any evidence to suggest he's a massive upgrade on what we have. And also we need someone who's going to really fit a profile that we don't really have in the midfield. And I don't know if Yarmolyuk fits that profile.
Yeah. I'm not too sure. All I know about him is he's very versatile. I don't think he started that much for Brentford over the course.
He played 31 games.
But I think mainly it was from the bench, wasn't it?
Let me see. He's played 31. How many starts? He got 15 starts.
Yeah. Yeah, so half from the bench and half starting games. So look, he's a young player trying to make his name in the game, but he hasn't like knuckled down that place at Brentford, has he?
No.
So that's him. Another player that Spurs have been linked with is Mikkel Damsgaard. Court Offside is saying that Spurs are weighing up a move for Brentford attacking midfielder Mikkel Damsgaard this summer. The report also adds that Villa, Newcastle, West Ham, Napoli and Inter Milan all keen on the Danish attacking midfielder. And I've actually loved watching Mikkel Damsgaard play this season. He's kind of really started to flourish under Frank this season, where you were kind of like watching him, waiting for him to explode. After that Euros we saw quite some time ago now, where he was a young player playing for Denmark, you thought, like, this guy's a serious player. And then he got that long injury, took a while to recover from it, and last season was kind of his first like proper season since that injury. Yeah,
and he's always had serious quality. He's always clearly been an exciting player, but for one reason or another, for the first 2 years at Brentford, never really worked out for him. Was getting game time, but wasn't really hitting his best, and was in and out of the team, a lot of it out of the team, to be honest. But this season has really come into his own, and actually I think 10 assists, was one of the better 10s in the league for large parts. Not to say that he wouldn't be a good fit for Tottenham, it's just that I don't see a need for him. We've got Madison. Madison's obviously going to be taking his role. We have Deki at the moment, which we'll get into later, but he might be back sooner than we think. So is there a need to be splashing money on Damsgaard? I like him. And yes, maybe in a different scenario, if we didn't have Maddison, I'll be thinking, yeah, all right, bring Damsgaard with you. I just don't see the need for it. I think it's a bit of an unnecessary signing, but I like him.
But we were talking the other day about, Paul O'Keefe on Last Word on Spurs, and he was saying that with the amount of games that we're going to have this season in the Champions League, Carabao, FA Cup, Premier League, is Maddison and Kulusevski enough to share that role over the course of all those games when you know about Maddison and his potential injury problems and his struggles? He was saying that he feels like Spurs will look to bring in or should bring in another number 10. And I think when we spoke about that at the time, you kind of agreed as well.
Yeah, but I think it should be a versatile one because you're not going to bring in a number 10 to be third choice number 10, are you? So someone like an Eze would be perfect. Can fill in left wing, can fill in 10. And so he kind of has a place in the team either way. I don't know if I agreed that we need just a separate number 10. Like we got Bergvall, who can play there as well. Like signing, and I guess Damsgaard can play the 8 as well. I'm not negative about him. I think he's a good player. I just think it would be a bit of an unnecessary signing, I would think.
Yeah, I guess it all depends on the other movements in the transfer window as well. Like, are they going to be surprise sales this summer in terms of Frank that doesn't feel like he fits the system of he wants to do? And I guess if there is another opening in the squad, I'd very much welcome Damsgaard. The amount of goal contribution, assists alone this year, I think he got 10 or 11 assists. And like I said, I really enjoyed watching him play. And he has a bit of an Eriksen vibe to him. He really does.
Once he got his confidence, he was flying, and he's got brilliant ability to spot passes, through balls. He's got great passing range. So I think he's a great player. Don't get me wrong, I really like him. But we have Maddison, who's in that role right now. So, and I get that. I get that Maddison has his problems and he needs managing as well. But we also have Deki, we have Bergvall. So I don't know. It just seems as though like it's going to cost quite a bit of money. We already have squad limitations. Is it a signing that's the utmost necessity? I wouldn't say so.
Yeah, no, I'd agree it's not the biggest necessity. Another player that we've been linked with today, not from the most reputable of sources, but from Fijajes, saying that Tottenham have joined Villa and Chelsea in the race to sign Man U winger Alejandro Garnacho. We spoke about him a bit over the past week or so. I think at that when we spoke about him last, you said, no, thank you.
Yeah, I don't really want him, to be honest. I think he thinks he's better than he is. He's got a bit of an ego about him, I feel, Garnacho. His brother on social media doesn't help him at all. Look, I think he is a talent, though. No, don't get me wrong. At 20, playing at the level he is in the Premier League is nothing to be sniffed at. So you got to give him credit. But I also think he has a bit of an ego, and he has a bit of an attitude. How he responded after that Europa League final. Oh, you only gave me 20 minutes. How could you? How dare you only give me 20 minutes? Who do you think he is? Who does he think he is? So for me, that kind of attitude I don't really want around the dressing room. But if it was just purely on quality, I mean, even then, I'm not like desperate. I understand it. I can see the logic, but I'm not like, yeah, we have to get him in. But I can understand the excitement around him in terms of how good he could possibly be, because he's only 20 and he's pretty good. But I don't know. Something tells me like you don't want that kind of attitude around the dressing room.
Yeah, I agree. And like, if he's at a club like Manchester United, right, and he's pretty much in some way demanding to play week in, week out at 20 years old, what's he going to be like at Tottenham? Right, he's going to come to Tottenham and do exactly the same. Like, no one, especially a 20-year-old, should be coming and demanding week in, week out playing time. I think it's a bit of a joke.
I think he feels like he's like a Yamal or a Musiala.
He's got a lot of talent. He does.
He does, but he's not at that level.
Yeah.
He thinks he's better than he is, I think.
Yeah, I agree. This one's quite interesting. The Footy Insider claiming that Birmingham and West Brom have both made approaches for Mikey Moore for a loan spell next season. Obviously, both managers have close ties to Tottenham. With obviously Mason, every time we talk about a potential loan going out the club, we're saying send him to West Brom, send him to West Brom. But Birmingham as well, with the old Tottenham coach Chris Davies. So I think both of these clubs could be a really good option for Mikey Moore next season. The question is, do we want to send him out on loan? Is he going to see game time under Frank? And I guess the other thing is, both of these places would be a really good option for him, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think a loan deal isn't the worst thing for him. I think last season we've seen he needs that little bit of development physically, and I think playing regularly, even if it is in the Championship, will really help his development. The guy clearly has ability. We saw that last season as well. As much as he had his struggles, he also had his games where he showed he belongs at that level. It's just about doing it consistently, doing it at a level where physically he's not he's up to it. So I think it'll toughen him up a bit, and I think getting the regular game time will really help him, especially playing under one of the two managers who really know him well. So I think it could be a good move. Obviously, if we kept him around and Frank believed he could develop him, I'm also open to that as well. But I just feel like getting regular minutes, especially given that between like February and the end of the season, he didn't play as much as we would like. I think playing that regular football could do him the world of good.
I think it's just a move that makes sense. It's going to really aid his development. Go to the Championship, play physical football week in, week out, make an impact in that league over the course of the year, and then come back really strong the season after and make a real impact at Tottenham. I think it just makes total sense, to be honest. Radu Dragusin, his agent, has been piping up again. And and he's been saying, here's the quotes: Radu is on holiday, but I always see him in the gym. In fact, I make fun of him. He'll be back playing in August. I think he'll stay at Tottenham. There are a few requests before his injury, but the club didn't sell him. He didn't want to change teams, so everything has remained the same. Then there are a lot of rumours, especially with Chivu's arrival at Inter, because we are very good friends with Chivu, but they're just speculations. Our minds are focused on recovery. The boy wants to get back playing as soon as possible and be stronger than before. Conte is one of the best coaches in the world. Then I like Napoli, but from here to saying that he'll play for Napoli, there's a long way to go. Then Tottenham don't want to let him go, and he has no intention of leaving at this moment. Everything is on hold. Then in the future, we don't know what can happen. We have a great affection for Mana because the Napoli director of football has seen Dragusin grow. I spoke to De Laurentiis before the game, before going to Tottenham, but the deal was already almost done. But then I didn't hear from him again. If Tottenham want to loan him out, then he could come back to Italy, but I'm sure next year he'll stay and play more. I mean, he could have just said, like, without going into this whole long detail about Napoli and again about Inter and all this kind of stuff, like, look, he's staying at Tottenham, he's getting back to fitness, and Tottenham don't want to sell him, and he doesn't want to leave.
And he didn't, and he very much started basically trying to sell his client yet again. Oh, Inter, such a great club. I'm sure he's saying at Tottenham, but what about Napoli? And Conte's good. He is good, and he is good, Conte. But no, Radi's going to stay. Although Conte, he's quite good. I'm just saying he's a great manager, but he's staying. He just needs to shut up, his agent. Honestly, stop talking. Never stops yapping. Literally nothing to be said here. Look, I am impressed and happy for Radu that, having done his ACL in the Elfsborg game in January, that he's going to be back playing in August. Just goes to show what a quick recovery he's made. 6 months, really. Fantastic from him. So hopefully he comes back in good condition. The fact that he's come back quite quickly is really encouraging. What condition he comes back in, we'll have to wait and see. Is it going to take him a while to get back to the levels that he needs to be at? Well, a lot of players from that injury struggle, don't they, to recover to their full potential straight away anyway. But he's young, so maybe his body's healing quicker than some other players. I really do think under Frank, he could be one of the winners in terms of the system suiting him a bit more. Frank maybe hiding his weaknesses a bit more. The defence being a lot more solid and compact, and that helping someone like Radu. And obviously he's very good aerially, very strong. So I think Frank will really help him, and I think Frank will like the look of him, to be honest.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I always said that, he was misprofiled when we signed him under Ange Postecoglou, but this change of manager, I think, will do him the world of good, and I think you'll see a different Radu Dragusin next season. And, he was a bit of a lot of stick came his way last season. For his performances at Spurs, and I thought there were some really good ones, but a lot of poor ones as well. But I think next season, whether we go 3 at the back or even 2 at the back, I think with the way he sets up his defence and he focuses on that defensive structure, I think Radu Dragusin will do brilliantly, to be honest, at Tottenham next season. Next up, Alexis McAllister was asked after the Argentina game which player he'd like Liverpool to sign, and it's probably going to come as no surprise to you which player he said, and he says, "Oh, Romero. He's a player I love. The way he speaks and plays, sometimes you feel he's too much because he makes everything so easy. He gives me confidence. For me, he's been the best centre-back in the world for several years." I mean, you hear this kind of stuff coming out of Argentina all the time, don't you?
Well, this is a guy who plays week in, week out with Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah.
And
true.
he's saying Romero's better. Obviously, yeah, as I say, from Argentina's perspective, if you're Argentinian, right, and I've said this, you've seen your team, the Argentina squad, basically fail continuously, getting to finals, getting close, but never really getting over the line, getting to 2 Copa America finals, getting to a World Cup final. Some, you know, I think the World Cup before they won it, they embarrassed themselves. They went out quite early, and literally Romero's come in, and he has won 100% of the tournaments he's played in, and he's been a massive fixture in every single tournament, in every game, and he's been absolutely phenomenal. So when you look at that, you're thinking, of course, you're going to think this guy is just the best in the world. He's just like, he can never put a foot wrong, because he never really does put a foot wrong for Argentina. Very rarely makes mistakes. He's absolutely brilliant. Obviously, as Tottenham fans, we know how good he is, but obviously we know on a consistent basis he hasn't been that infallible defender maybe he's been for Argentina. Not to say that we haven't at his best. We know he's phenomenal, and I think he is one of the better centre-backs in the league when he's playing at his best. Unfortunately, for one reason or another, whether it be him, the environment, we just haven't seen it as often, as consistently, I should say, as we would hope. But we also know, I think, that it's there, ready and waiting. I think the end of last season he was brilliant, especially in that Europa League campaign when he was really stepping up. The problem is for him is whether he wants to stay. We know he was close to Ange. We know he's got 2 years left on his deal. We know he had doubts about staying anyway. So whether we can convince him to stay, whether Frank can have a conversation with him, have a franker conversation with him, should we say, and can convince him, you know, his future is here. I think it's going to be a big ask. It's going to be a big job for Frank to do that. I don't see us selling him to Liverpool, though. I think, yeah, it's probably going to be Atletico, as we've seen. But, yeah, I think, as I've said, it doesn't surprise me that people like Alexis and a lot of Argentinians believe he's the best in the world.
It would be a really massive kick in the teeth, though, like, if we can't agree a deal to sell him this summer because we're asking for too much, and then he ends up running his contract down and he does end up going to Liverpool to replace a Van Dijk. Be a massive kick in the teeth, wouldn't it?
That'd be hard to take.
And I guess it's probably not beyond all realms of possibility, is it?
Nothing is in football. All avenues are always open. I don't think Tottenham will be too happy about it. Hopefully, if that does happen, hopefully we've got something to show for it in those 2 years that he's here.
Do you feel like, though, but the thing is, if it comes down to it, where he's got a year left in his contract and Liverpool are offering the most money, do you not think we'd sell to them?
They're one of the few clubs I think would be open to it.
That's what I'm saying. Like we sold Kyle Walker to Man City. You know what I mean? So I don't think like we would flat out reject it.
I think we would try our best not to do it.
Yeah, of course we'd try to sell him abroad, but if they're offering the most amount of money, I think we'd do it.
Depends how much more they're offering than clubs abroad.
No, for sure. But let's say like Atletico are offering like 30 million and Liverpool are offering like a 40, 45, 50 million. It's only one choice it's going to go.
If it's an extra 20 million, probably, yeah. If it's an extra 5 or 10, I don't know. I think they probably sell abroad. But,
you know, Liverpool's splashing the cash right now. 150 million on Wirtz. That is nuts. Absolutely. That's got to be the biggest Premier League transfer of all time, right? Yeah. What's the one below that?
What, is it Caicedo? 110?
Yeah, must be. Deki has been speaking as well, which is really interesting stuff, talking about his injury, and he says, it's good. I'm already ahead of schedule. I can start walking now, so that's nice. And he was asked whether he'll be back in time for the World Cup qualifiers in September. And he says, it's been a good few months since I've been watching and being on the sidelines. It's early, but we'll see. So neither confirming nor denying, but him already walking now, which is a big positive.
It's great news because obviously we looked up his injury, and a lot of people, a lot of kind of diagnosis are saying this injury can sometimes take between 8 to 12 months. And we were thinking, oh my God, is he going to be out for a whole year? So the fact that he's saying he's walking and he's ahead of schedule and he's even thinking about a September return is very, very positive in my eyes. It means it's not as bad as we first feared, or not first feared, or just the fans feared, I should say, and that he'll be back for the first half of the next season. And I was getting ready for him to be out for potentially January time, maybe later. I was really worried about that, given the injury he had. So the fact he's being positive about it, and it seems as though come the start of the season, it won't be too long before you see him. That's really, really great.
And last but not least, we're going to talk about these quotes from Mickey van de Ven yesterday after he got a goal and an assist in a 6-0 win for the Netherlands. And he says, he's talking about the sacking of Ange, and he says that was a decision made by the club. As players, we have very little say. Ange is the first manager to have delivered success. Looking at it that way, it's a peculiar choice. I think many players got along with him well. He's the first manager in a long time to bring success to Spurs. That shows he has a certain quality. It means he has a winning mentality. From the perspective, you could say it's strange that he was fired, but we've shown in the league competition is what we've shown in the league competition is unacceptable. There would, of course, be multiple factors. It wouldn't have just been the coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, just playing into, he doesn't seem very happy about it, though, does he?
No, he's calling it a peculiar decision, isn't he? And he's saying that he's also, even though he admitted the league form was unacceptable, he said, well, it's not just the coach. So he clearly thinks there's other reasons for it. Obviously, he also alludes to the fact that Ange won the trophy and he's got something special about him in that sense, that winning mentality. So he didn't seem happy about it. Also, the way he was talking about Frank coming in didn't seem overly excited either. I've seen the video. There's a video clip of it. It was an interview, and I'm just judging it off his facial expressions. And he was like, "Yeah, we're going to get the." He didn't even call him Frank. He said, "Oh, we're going to get the manager from Brentford, and we'll see, we don't have much say in that decision." And he just didn't seem so excited about that prospect, which is not great.
He said that the rumours are that the Brentford manager is coming in. It looks like it's going to happen, but then he did end off saying, players seem to really enjoy playing for him.
Yeah, but is he talking about Ange or Frank?
Frank.
You sure about that? I thought he was talking about Ange when he said that.
No, he was talking about Frank, and then he moved on to Ange after that.
Okay, so that's positive at least. And look, as I've said, as soon as Frank talks to the players, I'm sure they're going to get on board. I'm sure he's very good at understanding situations and very good at management. So as much as that pain is probably still there right now, because it only happened on Friday, and the players have been away as well, so they haven't been together since it's happened. They've all been on international duty or on holiday or whatever. So they've all been in there, split up. And as soon as they get together with the new manager, I'm sure everything will be sorted out. But, I think that also the way he speaks probably does kind of indicate a feeling in the dressing room, I would say, in terms, obviously they're not all together right now, but I'm sure he's not the only one who feels that way.
Yeah, look, right now I think they all do feel a certain way, or not all of them, but some of them. But once they come back, have their holidays, have their breaks, come back for pre-season, hear what the new manager has to say, I'm sure the majority of them will be well on board. They're professionals at the end of the day. And, they're also human beings and have that personal connection with Ange, which they've been with him, been through such hard times this year, ending in such a good way, getting that trophy in Bilbao. So I think by the end of it, once it's all said and done and they're back for pre-season, I'm sure they'll be bang at it, raring to go and loving life under Frank.
Yeah, that's what I hope so anyway. But they have to hopefully get on board with it very quickly. And I'm sure Frank can get that, but they have to have belief in him and what he wants to do, how he tries to play. And there's no guarantee, I guess, in football that comes. But I know Frank is a great manager. And if anyone is going to take over this kind of situation, someone like Frank is probably the perfect candidate. But having said that, there is no guarantees in football.
Yeah. But they also want to do what's best for their careers, don't they? They don't want to rest on their laurels, and they'll try and get behind it anyway. They'll try their best because they're they're professional athletes at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like, managers come and go all the time. Mm-hmm. This is just the nature of the game.
I completely agree. And I know that Frank's a great guy to kind of rally behind and believe in. That's what I believe. But not every look, you've just seen it with coaches among the whole Premier League. Not every coach fits with a certain squad. I'm not saying it's going to happen here. I doubt it will, but sometimes that happens. And I'm just saying we had it that everyone the group was behind Ange at that point, and there's no guarantee you'll get that back. However, if Frank can't do it, I'm not sure who will.
And I'm sure there was probably a similar feeling at the end of Pochettino's reign, where they've been with Pochettino for so long, they've been through so much, they probably all adored him, and then suddenly he's out the door and a new manager's in the next day. I'm sure there was a similar feeling.
Didn't go great, did it?
No, but was that the reason it didn't go great, or did it not go great because the squad needed refreshing?
I don't know, but I just know the rumours are the atmosphere wasn't great.
Maybe that's because of the manager that came in.
Huh?
That's because that usually always happens under Mourinho at some stage.
Agreed.
So anyway, that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories we brought to you.